Yippee, yahoo, and hallelujah. We have another day. This is Chris Collins, the Reviver. And most of the time, you are lucky because you don't have to listen to me sing. Today, however, you lost that bet. I want some dopamine. I want some dopamine. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so what's the deal with dopamine? It's the coolest thing. It's a neurotransmitter. I know that's not even a very short word, but whatever. And I'm not going to be talking in clinical terms because I'm not that kind of a person. But suffice to say that it makes you feel good, especially when you have solved a problem. You know how you're working on something, I don't know how to fix this. Well, maybe I need a nut or bolt over there, or maybe we can just put a hammer a nail in, and you figure it out. And you say, oh, look we fixed this. And nobody told us how to do it, and we figured it out ourselves. Now that is cool and fun. And you feel good. And that's dopamine. Now, people smoke dope. I don't know how all this worked out. But anyway, people smoke marijuana to get that dopamine hit also. And so everybody's walking around going, woohoo, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, happy, happy. And, and they haven't done anything. They haven't fixed anything. But they have the dopamine hit, which makes them feel as good as if they did. Now, the problem with all of that, not necessarily marijuana, I can't speak on marijuana. What do I know? I don't know anything. I don't do it. And a couple times that I've tried it, I didn't like it. I'm not into that kind of stuff, but I know that it helps a lot of people with a lot of things. But what we're talking about here is the solution that you will figure out has to do with the holes in the system that you see. So the dopamine helps you see the holes in the system. What isn't working? And how can I get that to work? So when you're working on the house, you're working on a appliance, you're working on a dress that you're making, how can I make this work better, fit better, all of that stuff? You have to focus on the holes in the system. What isn't working? Now, I say all this because that's where we get into trouble. We get into trouble because our whole ability to think hinges on the fact, our whole ability to think and solve problems hinges on the fact that we see where the problems are in the first place. And so when you are sick, you say, oh, well, what is the problem? Instead of looking at what is the solution. And you say, well, I have to know what the problem is in order to get to the solution. Not necessarily. What you need to find out is what are other people doing and have done to solve their problem. And then lightly you can touch on what the problem is, but you don't want to focus on it. You want to focus on how do you feel when you're feeling good, and how do other people solve their problems when they're feeling good, and go in that direction always. So you can still solve problems. You don't necessarily need to have everything specifically notated about where the problem is. Well, I have cancer in my left breast, and then what it does is this, and what it does then is that, and then it does, and then it does this. All of that is not helpful because you're putting too much attention on what it is and what it does versus what you're going to do to fix. So what have other people done to fix? That's your job, is to do some research and find out what all these people did. When did they do it? How much did they do it? And so on. And then you can decide what you want to do after that. That's all. That's all in your bailiwick, right? So I just wanted to let you know that dopamine is a cool thing, but it does send us into where are the holes in the system, and we don't necessarily need to know that in specific. We need to know it in general, and then we can find solutions for all of our problems, no matter if it's MS or lupus or, IBS or RA. Isn't it nice to have just letters? You don't have to even say the whole word. If you don't know what these things are, then again, you have to do your research, look them up, and know what parts and problems you have. But again, don't study what the problem is. Study what the solution is. You wonderful, beautiful being of my life. Okay, so let me just remind you that this is my opinion. This is one way of looking at things. It's not the end all, and I'm not suggesting that everybody do it exactly this way. I'm saying this is what I found to be true and helpful, and in all of these cases, when I bring you information, I say, you got to do this, you got to do that. Keep in mind, it's just one person's opinion that's done a lot of research, and it's just a good idea for you to make your own decisions and do your own research and figure it out, because I know you will. Okie dokie. I love my dopamine. I love my dopamine. Well, yes, when I solve a problem, I really, really, really like it. So, all right. One breath, one step. Let's talk next time. How do you reach us? How do you leave messages for us? Come on Facebook or come to our website, revivor.net, and subscribe for our newsletters, etc., whenever you want. This website is built just for giving information about healing for you.